Greetings. This is Charlene Johnson, and I am a perinatal manager at South Sacramento Kaiser. And I have been bringing perception or perspective to what's going on as an African American leader and woman. And so, one thing that is very important during these times, we know that there's so many questions, there's so much stress, there's so much going on right now in this season. And so I just want to encourage you. And a good way that we can encourage one another is with stories. And so, what I decided to do this season is to share stories of my journey as I um, began my journey. In the last video, I talked about how I was spoken to in a negative way called the N word. And then um, just that systemic racism that is so embedded in really in my life ever since I've been alive. Not a day goes by without me having some type of issue or another. And the reason why I'm sharing perspective is because people will look at me and say, "Oh, Charlene, she's got it good. She's such a wonderful person," and I am. But I have done a lot of self work on myself. I've done a lot of forgiving. I've done a lot of looking beyond what people say, a lot of ignoring comments that really should be addressed. So I think this is the season where we can't not speak up. I shared the quote before that. I'm fixing my hair. I shared the quote before that. The moment that we begin to say silence is the moment when our life ends. So um, I just want to help you. That's really what this is all about, to encourage you, to inspire you to be the best version of yourself, because that's what I do as a coach. And so, one of the stories I wanted to share, and the reason why it's still embedded into our system today, I've experienced it literally all throughout my life. As I grew up and I start having my own children, that's where I start noticing some things as well in our school system in particular. And it's not to talk bad about our school system, but our school system needs some work as well. And so my son, we had just moved into a new neighborhood. And so he was struggling a little bit. It was only a few weeks into the quarter, and I kept getting these emails from his teacher that he's not getting it and he's distracted and he's, all of this negativity. There was never, um, do you think it could be that he just moved to a new school and that he needs a little bit more support? Instead, it was he's a problem. And, unfortunately, he was one of two African Americans in the class. And so I kept getting things. And so finally, I set up a meeting with the teacher as well as the principal, because it had got to a point that my son hated going to school. He would text me. I would be there at work, and he'd text me like 50 times. It felt like, "Mom, do I have to go to school? Do I have to go to school? I don't want to go to school. I don't want to." He would always say that, and I'm like, come on, you gotta get in there and do what you gotta do. We would push him to go. We had no idea that we was pushing him into an environment to be bullied because he was um, a minority, as well as his teacher being a big bully. And so I finally set up a meeting, and in that meeting, I was so disappointed. We began to start talking. She started talking about what she needed to say. And my son is sitting there. He's like almost not breathing because he can't believe he's sitting there and really being attacked right there in front of me. So what I said is, and I didn't say anything, I just wanted to see the interaction and what was going on, because she was trying to tell him, "Well, you're not doing this, that, and the other." And my son, not even really knowing how to react and speak to it, he just pretty much was just quiet. And so finally, she just stopped and she said, "You know what, Nehemiah? I don't get paid to show you compassion. I get paid to teach you." And so that was it for me. I jumped in like the mama bear that I am, but I flipped the script on her a little bit. I said, "If you were in my hospital bed, what would you prefer?" And she said, "Oh, no, no, no. You misunderstood me, Miss Johnson." "No, I didn't. I didn't misunderstand you. I'm taking my son out." And the sad part about it is the vice president sat there right there and listened to the whole interaction, never interjected anything, stood there weak, shrunk back, did not say anything. So totally took him out of the school system when he was in the fifth grade and decided we were going to figure out this journey of homeschool. And I really think that happens all the time. And then I had another when this was another school we tried before we went to homeschool. Same type of thing happened. This time I called it out to the principal. And the sad part about this one, too, the principal said, "I'm so sad that you guys are leaving because I think you would make a difference. But this thing is embedded into my teachers, and because they have so much tenure, there's not much we can do." So that by itself can show you that he sat there and he put up with it. So we decided we weren't going to put up with it. I'm not going to subject my child to this type of treatment. So we snatched him out and did what we can do as far as um, a home parent school, homeschooling. Tough journey. It was a tough journey, especially working full time. But that's life. That's life as it is. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about my children. I have two sons. One of my sons is 6'4", 6'5", tall, handsome guy. And a few years ago, he had dreadlocks, and he still has shorter ones, but he had that. So he, quote, fits the description of what the police like to say about people that are doing negative things. And the stereotype, I'm just calling it what it is, you guys. And then I have another son, and he's young, he's only 19, but he's a big guy. He looks like I think he's about 6 feet now, and he's going to be tall like my son. And I have a daughter. And so here's another situation. My daughter's going to work. She's excited. She's going to work. I had just bought her a new car. It was a used car. And so we bought it. And I guess the dealership, they didn't put tags on the back, but it was on the front. But she had her temporary registration. So I wasn't really concerned about it. So she goes to work. She's heading to work. My son's there with her because he's going to drive her car back and use it. And her friend is there. And they stopped her. The police department stopped her. And they were questioning her. "Hey, what's going on? You don't have your license plate on the back. Let me see your registration. Let me see your license." So she's doing all of that. And I mean, within like a minute, she said there was like 4 cop cars there with her. And they made my daughter get out of the car after seeing her registration and letting her know that, "Hey, my mom bought me this car." And my son get out. And of course, my son is tall. So when he stood up, they got their hands on their gun. And her friend, they get out, they humiliate them, make them sit down on the ground. Now, this is all happening in front of my daughter's place of employment. Absolutely humiliating. This is what happens every day. So every day, me as a prayer warrior, I cover my children in prayer because of those things that are unexpected. People that have systemic racism in them or implicit bias on the inside of them that operate out of that core without working on themselves. So that's why there's not a day that goes by when my children are in the car going somewhere or anything. Like now, as a mom, and my son is already moved out, but still, if he gets stopped by a car, that is always a forethought in my mind. And it's really sad that I have to walk around like that. But that is just how this system is. And that's why I'm so glad it is time to make a change. It is time to stop. It is time for us to continue to speak out. And that's why you will be hearing my voice about all of the things that I've experienced, because I think when we tell our stories, there are healing properties to a story. I really believe that, not only for the one that is telling the story, but the listener of the story, because you don't know and you can't walk in my shoes and I can't walk in yours. But stories put us really close to where that person is as far as feeling the emotion that particular first, and then just the understanding, like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this is how your life is. And I think with these type of things that we're dealing with the racial tension and the injustice that we see, it is very apparent that there is a problem. And just like I said in the last video, I'm going to reiterate because I think it's important. We understand that all lives matter, but right now the fire is in the Black community and Black lives matter. And we need to figure out what we need to do to be able to just make one blanket statement that all lives do matter, because we do believe that all lives matter, but we can see that everybody else does not, everybody else that doesn't have the right mindset are not in the same alignment. So I hope this helped you. I really encourage you, if you're African American, to share your story. Also, the reactions from our allies, that's what they're called, the ones that got our back. They've been stepping up there with us, and I'm so appreciative to all of you that are stepping up, that are done, that have said enough is enough, that it's time to make a change. So I really appreciate that as well. So thank you for all of your support, and I hope this has been a blessing to you. Okay, bye-bye.